All right, y'all, what is going on? This is your man L Jamal coming through with another edition of Upon Further Review. I know I promised you guys some NFL content or some college football content, all that, but I am here today to keep that promise. I'll be reviewing Any Given Sunday today. This is a star-studded flick coming out in 1999. We got Jamie Foxx, we have your boy Al Pacino, we got Cameron Diaz, Aaron Eckhart, just to say, no, even LL Cool J, just to say a few names here. We also got some NFL legends showing up in this one. Lawrence Taylor, we got Emmett Smith, so many people, well, a few legends to say the least. So this one, it breaks down the story of Willie Beeman and also a few different elements in this one. It talks about his interactions with the main head coach, Tony D'Amato, as well. Tony D'Amato is a well-established coach, been around for about 35 years, mostly for the Miami Sharks, which is the team of the movie, of course. And he's had his highs, he's had his lows. He's currently in the midst of somewhat of a lull right now. And at some point, his starting quarterback, Cat Rooney, who's been the face of the franchise for X amount of years, he goes down with an injury, a very significant injury, and so does the second string as well, which leads to them bringing up Willie Beeman, and this is his call to arms. Now, he's facing his own different backstory as well. He's been through a lot up until this point. He feels like he, hasn't been had his talent truly respected and been given those opportunities as a quarterback, as a black quarterback. So this has become his moment in time to do so, and it starts off a little bit rocky, but he gets his shit together and he's able to have some success on the field. But what the movie does a great job of doing is showcasing what happens when all that does happen. He has his success on the field, the team's winning, he becomes somewhat of a face of the franchise, at least the positivity that's going on right now. You see him in commercials and all that. He's doing his thing. He's a life of the party. He wants to be the ladies' man. Even the owner is taking a look at him now because, of course, Cameron Diaz's character, Christina Pagnacci, she's looking to change the team up in a few different ways. Not only at the head coaching spot, which puts her at odds with Al Pacino's character, but she also wants to really take this team all together into a new era. So she's looking at a new quarterback. She's even looking at a new potential city. So she has her own little backstory with her too. So Beeman, he's thrust into this position of being a leader, and he has his hit and his miss moments, and I think the movie does a great job of showcasing that as well. It showed his highs, it shows him feeling himself, and then it also does a good job of understanding, of showing, how that goes to your head, and seeing his lack of leadership and how that affects the team, and how multiple occasions the team has had to call him out and had to really get in his head. There's an example when he refuses to take, well, he takes all the credit for the team's recent success, and what happens in that very next game is his teammates take that, and they take it as a form of disrespect, and they don't play for him, and it falls flat. The game falls flat, and he's back in his position where he has to check himself. And again, you also have another great scene between him and LT, where LT is trying to get him to understand the game, just outside of football, and look at his actions and try to be more of a leader there. That was a great scene there. You don't. I think all these football films. I know a lot of critics will try to say that these movies are pretty much stereotypical, or they kind of go fit this same narrative. But I think every movie gives you something different. Recently, I did a review of The Replacements on my podcast. If you haven't yet, please check that out. And I basically described how the biggest things about that film was how that team came together in the circumstances in which they had, and just everything that culminated up until the end. And I think again, this is again, it's the same kind of thing with this movie. It has its own distinct set of topics and themes that it showcases you. Every single football movie has this. So don't think it's just about playing football, the guy strapping up and going to make the tackle or be the quarterback. There's some nuance here. Again, with Willie Beeman's character, also with Coach D'Amato himself. He's been a master of his craft for so many years, and it's shown you the effect that it has had on his personal life. Like, he literally has no connection with his family. His wife is gone. He's trying to relate to his daughter. His daughter does not relate to him. You don't see that. You don't just see that, well, in the good football movies. You don't just, you see more than just, oh, we won the game, we lost the game. Even in a movie like Little Giants, there's a lot of underlying, context and themes here. So just let's get out of that concept of just looking at sports movies just as a sport movie, just as, oh, there's a winner, there's a loser. There's some really great themes in this movie, for example, in terms of health and retirement and just letting go in general of the sport. Cap Rooney, we mentioned going into the beginning of the movie, he suffers a very serious injury that keeps him out of, a good chunk of games. In this time period, he's told that this injury at this point of his life and his career, it could come with some serious consequences. It could very well change the way that he plays, or really affect if he can play. And you're seeing in this position, you're seeing through his eyes, the contemplation of what can I do after this. And then not only that, you see how the coach responds to him potentially being a little bit adamant about, or a little bit on the fence about returning or being around long term. You see his wife, a typical trophy wife, turn on him, berate him because he feels he isn't strong enough to take up the mantle. Now, mind you, he does end up being healthy enough to play in the playoff game, but he injures himself again there. And again, he's again given that opportunity to say, look, I've had my fun. Let your boy Willie Beeman take over. Again, these are different themes that you're seeing. For example, with LT's character, Luther LeVay. He's made it to this point of his career, very successful defensive player, done a lot of things, and he's currently in the process of, in the movie, he was currently in the process of picking up a bonus, which is why, when I came across Antonio Brown's story early in the year, or, in the football season, last football season, when all that happened with the Jets and everything, I brought up this situation because Luther LeVay was facing a situation where he was on tap to get a $1 million incentive. But the whole problem is, during the course of the movie, which you find out at later on, is that he's been dealing with a broken neck the entire time. And one bad play could lead him, to even dying. And, the cold part is, in that scene, you have him and his defensive coordinator, Jim Brown, in there. And Jim Brown just gives him the coldest look, like, are you willing to do this to yourself just for this money? So many different, angles we can look at this movie. You know what I'm saying? And then you also got the crooked team doctor. Responsible for putting these players out here. Harvey Mandrake, Jim Woods' character. I forgot to mention him in the beginning, but he's supposed to be responsible for the well-being of players, but he constantly puts them in danger, constantly telling them to go back on the field when they're not healthy. He helped, or he, what do I want to say? I don't want to say helped, but he, he helped, fuel, the pill addiction that Luther LeVay was suffering under, just to get through the games. He was strung out on these different, or these pain medications, or, where they shot him up. There's a scene that he got shot up. He was, he eventually got addicted to that process through, the false, doctrine, medical doctrine of really caring about your people, of this character, Harvey Mandrake. So you have all these different things going on here. We can also look at, even Cameron Diaz's character, Christina Pagnacci. Very interesting story for her as well, because she inherits the team from her father. And, she goes at it with Coach D'Amato at many points in time in the movie because he's old school. He runs the game a certain way. She knows and she's seeing the game evolve. And she knows that the way he runs it is not going to win them anything. At least I guess consistently, or. And you also have her the situation where she's in these big time rooms with these other male owners, and you do sometimes see that male female dynamic get played up. A lot of times it's because she ends up being an asshole, but sometimes she also plays herself off as knowing more than what she really does, so they try to put her back in check in terms of that. And there's also, her wanting to even potentially lead the team from Miami. So there's all these different things, all these different, stories that you have going on here. And mind you, this was based off a book written by a former NFL player by the name of Pat Toomey, and made a appearance in the movie as well. But I think it does a good job of showcasing certain situations within the NFL life. Again, with Cap Rooney, it talks about a player at the end of his career, or at least he knows he's at the end of his career. Nobody truly accepted it, really. And then, of course, Luther LeVay's character, where you're at the end of the career and you're kind of denying it, and you put yourself in a position where, again, at the end of the game, in the movie, he puts himself in a position where he makes a play, but it's very serious because he ends up getting carted off the field. His whole family has to sit there and watch that. But again, he got his incentive. And then, of course, we have the two main characters, Al Pacino's character, Coach D'Amato, finding his coaching voice throughout the movie, and leading that team, to a victory, because they do get the win in the end. Willie Beeman gets to show off his skills for the first time and gain that respect. And because it's a great ending, because again, like I said, they win the game. Cap is healthy, although he's probably gonna retire, but he gets to keep his life. Of course, Luther LeVay, we are made to assume, he's alive, he does his thing. And then the good thing is, D'Amato, they end up losing in the playoffs later on. They tell us that. But again, he finds himself a new job. He finds himself a new direction, a new energy of coaching. And then guess what? He's able to turn that newfound respect and newfound knowledge to the game and say, look at, the guy that's helped him, the quarterback, that's been under center for him, following his rules pretty much, and say, hey, Willie, come on down with me to New Mexico. And it's like a big twist because everybody thought he was going to retire. Everybody thought he was done. He says, no. I'm going to take the job in New Mexico, and I'm taking Willie Beeman as my franchise quarterback. Oh, I said, oh, shit. Pagnacci was mad. The whole press conference, they went off. And so, again, I like movies that give you layers. You get so many different, examples of the NFL or the pro football experience, period. From the parties to the girls to, again, the athlete feeling himself, putting himself out there. Again, to the coaches who are stressed out, trying to find a way. You even got Jim Brown's character saying, look, at some point, I'm going to be done with this. I'm going back to the high school game where it's more pure. You hear all these ideas that you've heard, but to kind of see it kind of here again, I think it was cool. I think it was a solid movie. I'll give it an A. Really thick. I thought it was a thick plot, to be honest. An understandable plot. Again, you have these different themes with all these different characters, and again, a really well written, script. Particularly, Al Pacino's speech at the end. It comes down to inches, and again, he's right. You want to, you want to watch a movie and you want to know that it's a movie, it's Hollywood. Not everything is gonna be real, but you want to take some really good positives about it, and you want to take you don't necessarily have to live your life based on what you saw in a movie, but you can hear something in a movie and say that's right. You can apply certain things, or you can take the well-meaning messages. Like, for example, that final speech where he's telling you, he's imploring his guys to dig deep. Because again, he's right. It comes down to a game of inches, not even just football, but just life. The extra that you give, at work, the extra that you give in your goals and your life mission and your brother, your friends. You know, you can apply that anywhere. It does come down to issues. It just comes down how hard you are willing to fight, and how much effort you are willing to put in. How less excuses are you gonna come up with? That's what it's all about. And I think not only was it a good movie to watch, but it gave you some good messages to look at in terms of how to look at your life sometimes. And I think that's something that you can always. I think that's something that's good. You know, when you can see that. Not all movies are like that. Not all movies make you think all the way like that. Some movies are just prototypical football movies. Some movies make you think a little bit more. I think this movie makes you think a little bit more about a whole bunch of different things, and I like that. All right, y'all. I'm gonna make it. I made this one a little bit quick. I didn't go as deep as I normally do, but I made sure I touched up on everything I feel like I should. I gave you guys a good synopsis and gave you guys my thoughts. I think that's how we can do it. I like that. I like this approach. A little bit quick, a little bit easy. But again, if you guys are looking to get in touch with me, I'll be leaving my link available for you guys. If you liked what you saw here today, please be sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Of course, you can listen to me, the Never Out of Bounds podcast, of course, available on Spotify and Apple as well. And if I haven't told you yet, I love you. Peace out, one love, and I got more to go. So again, this is just a start. I'll be back with some more, y'all.